Gum. Hey, I think we're live. All right.
It's a great first image.
Yeah, sorry. Just taking out my gum. I want my breath to be fresh for the broadcast. Okay, well, welcome everyone to another episode of, what's our site called again? The Stallone Pod.
The Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to figure out. The Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network, but basically it's just the Rocky Minute, SlyCast, Going the Distance Rocky Series podcast. We're all joining forces, and the big wigs, the big heads of the Sly world are coming together. And I'm really excited today, guys, to review today's movie. Who else is excited?
This guy.
Okay. Craig?
Yeah. No, we knew going into this vote that there wouldn't be a loser here, that no matter what movie got selected, it would be a winner. We knew going into this.
Oh, Doug.
Sorry.
There we go.
I messed it up.
I thought you said the big heads were here.
Yeah. Doug's already messing up. Okay. Yeah, this was we had 3 movies up. What was it again? Victory, Lockup,
and Nighthawks, which
Nighthawks.
People can't stop talking about what a great movie that is. I don't know where they were when the vote was being cast.
Yeah, it was close. Lockup won, and it happened to be my choice, but it won by 4 votes, 3 or 4 votes. You beat me by 1 second, Stallion. You beat me by 1 second.
It's a tough for many intelligence to handle.
All right, so let's get going with Lockup. Lockup came out in 1989. It came out 30 years ago.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
30 years.
Now, I like
crazy that 1989 was 30 years ago.
Yeah, I know. So before we talk about the specs of the film and, all that good stuff, let's talk about the first time you saw this film and any memories you have of the film. I'll start. I'm 90% sure I saw this film in the theaters, and I'm starting to doubt myself because it was a rated R film, and I was 14 at the time. Now, I did sneak into movies all the time back then, because when I was 14, I was kind of bigger for my age. I looked older than 14. So I'd like to think I snuck in, because I'm 90% sure I saw this in the theaters. That being said, I bought it on VHS once it was released on VHS, and I watched the crap out of this film on VHS for years to come. And then, of course, I own it on Blu-ray to this day, but I hadn't seen it in probably hadn't seen a full viewing of this in over a decade. So I would say the last 10 years of my life, like since I got remarried 9 years ago, I've had 4 new kids in 9 years. There's a lot of movies that I haven't repeated viewing because I don't have that extra time just to watch a movie out of the blue. So I haven't seen this movie in a while. So until yesterday, I watched the whole way through. And yeah, so that's the latest viewing was yesterday. But before then, I'd seen this movie many, many times and had fond memories. And those fond memories did not diminish on yesterday's viewing.
Yeah. Doug?
I saw this when I was a kid. 89, I was 11. I definitely didn't see it in the movies. I must have caught it on one of the the Channel 11 viewings of it. And, local. Yeah, PIX. That's right. Where they bleeped out the curses and everything. But I mean, I wasn't a big movie watcher, so I never if I saw a movie once, that was pretty much it, unless it was called Star Wars or Indiana Jones. So I haven't seen it since I was a kid up until yesterday. So I guess you can say that was like my first official viewing because I didn't remember shit about it. So
wow,
here we are. Yeah.
So basically, it was like a first viewing for you almost. You knew the movie existed. You probably had some sort of memory of him being in prison, but you don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't remember. I don't think I saw this movie in the theater, and mainly because I don't think I saw a lot of movies in the theater in 89, except for probably Batman, and there might have been an Indiana Jones movie. Is that when Last Crusade came out?
Yeah, I think so.
And maybe a James Bond film. But either way, I probably saw this on VHS at some point when it came out on the home video market. And I had watched it prior to whenever we did it for SlyCast a couple years back. And I know me and you, Ryan, were talking about this yesterday, just about how great the Blu-ray looks. Is he muted?
Oh yeah,
he's
sorry,
on mute.
I just muted it. Sorry for a second there. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to get their show out on Twitterverse while you're talking there. Yeah, the transfer of the Blu-ray looked really nice, at least on my PC. And I will say again, for the Rocky movie box that I have, the Blu-ray transfer is horrible. I don't know if that's the same for you guys in your Blu-ray when it comes to the Rocky films, but
yeah, we've talked about this, man. It's terrible.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the fact that Lockup is 10 years later than the first Rocky.
No, I will say, sorry not to interrupt you. I just watched the 1974 classic film for the first time, Gene Hackman in The Conversation.
Oh,
and I saw that on like AMC, sorry, on my movie channel, like TV, the 70s channel. I've got this movie channel that does the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And anyways, it looked fantastic.
Well,
so it was high def through my TV. So obviously they have this format.
Yeah, but that was Francis Ford Coppola, big budget movie. I mean, the first Rocky is an independent film, right? I mean, it's low budget.
Yeah, is it really like I understand and I agree with you, but weren't they all just filmed in Panavision? Like, was the film quality that much different?
And it also gets back to what they were using to source those Rocky Blu-rays. I've never done the research, but they might not have been using pristine prints or whatever. I mean, whatever they used for Lockup was pristine. I mean, that is probably one of the better Stallone Blu-rays I've seen from, pre-1990.
Yeah, it looked good. It did look good. And so now we can start talking about who directed this film. And I didn't know anything about this guy until I looked him up. I didn't know anything about John Flynn. Did any of you guys know anything about John Flynn before looking him up?
No, I just know he died back in 2007.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to bring up my notes here. So here we go. Here's John Flynn. So he directed 16 movies from 68 to 2001. So he had a 33-year career, but he didn't do a lot of movies. He only did about one movie every 2 years. So, a 3-decade-long career, but as time went on, the movies came less and less as he got older. Interesting trivia. He worked with 3 actors from our previously reviewed film, The Specialist.
Which 3?
Rod Steiger in The General in 1968. Remember Rod Steiger?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me? You bastardo!
Bastardo, yeah.
I forget.
And then the film right before Lockup, he directed James Woods in the movie called Bestseller. I never heard of that.
Wait, wasn't it? It was James Woods that hooked Stallone up with this project, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You took that out of my sales there, buddy.
Sorry,
no, that's what we're here for.
But now is that going to make 4 consecutive live episodes where we mention James Woods?
I think we should do it in every single one.
I think we have. I know. Last episode or the episode before, I attempted a James Woods joke that went over like a fart in church. So you guys didn't even laugh. So like, if I can't even get a laugh out of my co-hosts,
well,
we're not pity laughers.
Yeah, that's right, man. We're a tough crowd. We're the toughest crowd you'll ever have.
We hold ourselves to higher standards, right?
That's it.
All right. So John Flynn, like you said, died at the age of 75 in April 2007. So he hasn't been with us for almost 12 years. And his last movie was 2001. Also in the movie Bestseller with James Wood, he directed Brian Dennehy. Was co-star in that movie. As we know, Brian Dennehy was the sheriff Tisdale. And is that Teasdale?
Teasel,
geez, yeah. Teasel in the First Blood, yeah.
And did I see on his filmography he directed Out for Justice after this with Seagal?
Yeah. Yes, he did. He directed he directed Stallone and Seagal like back to back. So is
Out for Justice the one where he goes into the bar and they're playing pool and he wraps the pool balls in the napkin and he's just cracking guys across the face with the pool balls?
Well, if he's not doing that, he should have.
I'm telling you, not to make this a Steven Seagal podcast because nobody wants that.
Yeah.
But
people
man,
people barely want the Sylvester Stallone podcast.
There was a run where we saw probably up through Under Siege we saw every Seagal movie when it opened in theaters, like just to watch him like dismantle people with his Aikido and his, I don't have to do anything but you come at me and I'll break your arm kind of stuff. Dude, man, and there was Marked for Death, where he breaks that Jamaican guy in half.
Yeah, awesome. I watched Fire Down Below in the theaters.
Oof.
I think I might have seen that in the theaters as well.
Wow.
That might have been the last...
EP environmental protection agent or something like that.
Is that the one where he has a ponytail and he mumbles his lines and then he...
That's all of them.
Oh, okay. All right, so the movie Lockup, if it was made today, would have cost $37 million to make, which is actually a very small budget. $37 million for kind of a what you consider starring a big star of the day. $37 million isn't that much. However, it broke even with a $42 million box office, which I found very surprising that this movie did not make money.
That's terrible.
Well, it was a tough sell. Like you said, it was R-rated.
True.
And it didn't have kind of the appeal of, let's say, like a Cobra, which was kind of hot and flashy and sexy, if you will. This was a guy in prison movie.
Yeah, but I mean, I was such a Sly fan at the time, and I still am, obviously. But back then in '89, I was a huge Sly fan. I was 14 years old. Just everything he did was like gold to me, and I'm just surprised that more people like me that were on the Sly wagon didn't show up.
I don't know
either. Like the critics killed it.
Yeah, so we're gonna go to that. So right now,
there's some pedigree behind this. I mean, it was co-written by Jeb Stewart, who 2 years earlier had co-authored Die Hard.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, Doug, you probably read some of the trivia, and do you want to talk to that in a second here? But I just want to say what this film was nominated for some awards, though. Do you know what it was nominated for?
Razzies.
Yeah,
as always.
Why is Sly nominated for Razzies? He is such a Razzie darling. Like, they rag on his career, man.
They're lazy. They're just lazy, and the Razzies are like some of the most uninspired award shows or awards that you'll ever see, just because they go for such easy targets.
And don't get me wrong, there are some bad movies that Sly's been in, but Lockup should not be anywhere in the discussion of worst picture. So it was nominated for worst picture. Really, like, out of all the films in '89, there just wasn't. They couldn't think of 4 other films other than this one, or another film that was just worse than this picture. And of course, worst actor for Stallone, and then worst supporting actor for Donald Sutherland.
And they didn't even win any of them.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can give Donald Sutherland.
There we go, Las Vegas.
Here's the sirens I promised on Twitter.
We can always count on you, Craig.
Well, and we should have a dog bark soon. Okay. The only award I would give Sutherland anything for is worst character name.
In this?
Drumgool. And his nose hair. I'll tell you.
They call that a mustache in America.
No. The one thing that the high def Blu-ray gave me was there was a lot of Donald Sutherland nose hair. Now, he was 54 in this film, and he's a little bit older. But high def, I'm telling you, these early high def movies, when they're transferred over, you get a lot of male nose hair that they didn't see coming with the high def.
Oh man, that's unfortunate.
So I will say that the Razzies, though they lost, quote unquote lost, they lost to Star Trek V for worst picture, William Shatner for Star Trek V for worst actor, and Donald Sutherland lost to Christopher Atkins in a movie called Listen to Me for supporting actor.
Christopher Atkins, isn't he? God, that name sounds really familiar.
Yeah, I looked him up and I didn't really recognize him. Quickly here, we're gonna go through the couple of the main. We'll talk about all the actors, but as we do, I always like to say how old they were in the film, especially when films get older, if that makes sense, because I find it very fascinating being 43 myself right now. Like, I am 43 years old. I am the same age that Sylvester Stallone was in this movie, and it always fascinates me that when I look at Sly on screen, I'm like, that can I do or be what he's being on screen? I always kind of put myself in his shoes as an actor, as a person, and like that's what a 43-year-old was doing in 1989 in this film. So I don't know. I find that interesting. I don't know if you guys find ages interesting in movies, but no,
I usually do. This I do.
Okay.
But this, I mean, I would say he looks about 43.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he looked
Early
fine.
40s. It would be my guess.
And his physique looked fantastic too. He looked pretty good there.
As
Well,
always.
and that's one of the problems that you have with any movie with either Sly or like Arnold is, you know what? Sly was like an auto mechanic in this movie.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Right.
Like when does he have time to just get in the shape that he's in and stay in it? I mean, like it's just so hard to maintain that kind of. I think that's my biggest critique of Stallone's career overall is like, sure, for Copland he got out of shape, which we talked
Right.
about, but like I mean, in this movie you didn't really even need to show what kind of shape he was in. There's that one scene where they strip him down, and then you're like, whoa. But aside from that, like when he's wearing his clothes, he doesn't look crazy. But I almost wonder if it was like that Stallone ego that's like, hey, I'm going to the gym 8 hours a day. I want people to see this.
You know what we did get, though? We got the gratuitous Stallone wearing briefs.
Oh yeah.
Nothing more gratuitous than Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Oh no, we didn't get. Yeah, at least he was wearing boxer shorts and not those Speedo shorts in this film.
He was in the delousing scene.
Were those Speedo underwear? Was that Speedo underwear?
Yeah, they were briefs. Yeah, they were a gray color.
Okay, well,
I wasn't looking that.
The underwear in that scene.
I wasn't looking that closely. Trust me. Or was I?
I was going to say about his physique to work on what you're saying there, Craig. Yeah, I did. That was one of the critiques. We want to talk about our critiques. That was one of the critiques I did have about this film. Was I didn't notice it at 14 because he was the action hero when I was a kid, and that was par for the course for these guys to show up their bills. But now watching this as a 43-year-old, and everyone else is clothed in this jail, but for some reason, Frank Leone, the character that Sly plays, he's shirtless or in a tank top for the majority of the film, and the only time it did kind of work, of course, was when he was being deloused, and I want to talk about that too. And and when he was in the hole for 6 weeks, when he would have no clothes, I would almost suspect he would probably be naked in real life. That he had no comfort whatsoever. So to have no clothes then, but he looked really like his six pack was really ripped too. I noticed that.
Well, it's wild because he did what, Rocky 5 right around this same time.
He did Rocky 5 1990, so the year after, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and Rocky 5's not a movie where he's really known for his physique, although we don't really see it much, except in the flashback to Part 4, where I guess he had to maintain some kind of.
No, the flashback for Part 2, where he gets the cufflink from Mickey.
Oh yeah. Well, see, but that's not even accurate because he's pretty ripped in that, and in Rocky 2 he wasn't. As we know, he was kind of just a regular guy.
Right. So let's start with the top of the movie. Let's start with the top of the movie. So the movie starts off with what I think is a really nice Bill Conti score of the piano playing. And I remember watching this movie, even as a 14-year-old, really liking the music in this film. Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on Bill Conti's piano score?
It's tremendous. It's it's Bill Conti. And he really knew how to bring life to Stallone movies. I mean, if you look at all of his scores for the Stallone films, just knocked them all out of the park. And this one's no different. A lot of memorable cues in this one. And man, a score can really make or break a movie. And this one definitely helps elevate it.
Yeah.
I loved every bit of it.
Oh, sorry, Doug, go ahead.
No, it's just I was gonna agree with you guys. I loved every bit of it. The way, I mean, it starts and ends the same, but then there's still a little bit of that light piano throughout, and that's I love that piece of music. It's really good.
So I want to welcome Jonathan Howell to the chat. He's the only one chatting, so thanks, John. He's from the Minute Impossible podcast. So he says that he's had the Copland body for years.
Me and you both, brother.
I think I've got the party at Kitty and Stud's body. I think I've got that
Oh
one.
yeah. I'm working on the Rocky 4 body.
Oh,
It just hasn't come yet. It hasn't come yet.
Wow, impressive. So the movie starts off with I was about to say Rocky. With the movie starts off with Frank Leone looking at photos and.
Now, do you like Leone or Leone?
Sorry, it is Leone, isn't it? My apologies.
I don't know. Don't they pronounce it both ways?
Yeah.
That's true. I think Leone sounds more Italian, you know?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I go with Leone.
Okay, so Frank Leone, Macaroni Leone is what we'll call him.
It's racist.
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's not racist. It might be racial. But so anyway, so we've got Frank working in a garage, and if you're a cold viewer of this film, if you like literally didn't see a trailer or know anything about this film, you'd see that this guy's working on cars, nice piano music, and then this girl walks into the garage, and they have a little bit of banter about, do you want to check under my hood? And you remember that banter there about him, hey, I got something wrong with my car, and he's like, do you need me to check under your hood? I think she said, yeah, I've got a lot of flappy noises under there.
That's awful.
Sorry, Craig didn't laugh at that one, so I didn't.
It was like Craig's joke. That's his payback.
No, that's. I was slightly tuned out. I was reading about the actress in this, and I forgot that she died last year.
Yeah, so she died last year, and we're talking about her name is
2 years ago.
Yeah, Darlan. Yeah, I guess almost 2 years ago. Darlan Flugel.
Who
So
I also remembered from To Live and Die in L.A.
Flugel.
Oh, there you go. So she, it's really sad. She was 35 in the film, so she was, of course, 8 years junior to Sylvester Stallone, which obviously makes sense. So she was 35 during the filming of this film, and she was pretty and she was cute, but she played that really. She was actually a perfectly cast wife role. You know what I mean? Like she looked like the kind of girl that a guy looking like Frank Leone would be dating. But she passed away in 2017 at the age of 64 from Alzheimer's.
Early onset, yeah, terrible, man. Just terrible disease, and
yeah, no kidding.
What a sad story. But we've got her performance here, which is
good job.
Yeah.
Actually, there was no bad performances in this movie. Can you think of any that were like oof?
No, even the asshole guards did a good job of being asshole guards.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, okay. So, so Craig, before we go, we'll get there. Craig, you're shaking your head. Was there somebody that you thought wasn't that great?
Well, Tom Sizemore got close to going over the edge.
This was his first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was it?
Yes, this was his acting debut. So I agree. It was a little bit. But it grows on me. I like the way he is in this movie, and I give actually more credit to his performance, knowing that this was his first movie. And drum roll, ladies and gentlemen, guess who gave him his first shot in the movies?
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone, another actor that he brought into the film business. I'm not too sure how, but the trivia that I was reading said that Sly got Tom Sizemore this role, and it's a pretty meaty role.
Oh yeah,
the Dallin role. And to this day, Sizemore is good friends with Sly, and just it's been very grateful to this day for that.
They're still good friends.
Still friends, yeah.
I don't know. I that's what I read. If there's something that's happened that I'm not aware of, I don't know.
Well, Dirty Sanchez happened.
Dirty Sanchez.
You don't remember when Tom Sizemore went crazy?
Well, I don't know if they're hanging out with Thanksgiving dinner. Like Tom Sizemore has had issues personally, yes, but I think there's no love loss. There's no animosity between them. I don't.
Well,
think.
didn't Tom Sizemore, wasn't he like trying to get in the Expendables?
Oh, probably, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think if they were still tight, Stallone would have found.
Yeah, but to be fair, no, Tom Sizemore's never been an action star though. He's not an action star. Like what movie? Like he's never done an action movie. He might be in a film that's actiony or has other action stars, but I've never seen him.
I'm sure there's at least 4 straight to video piece of shits that he did that you could call action movies.
This character he plays in this movie is typical for him. Like this is what he was good at.
Mhm.
This fast talking, like scam artist kind of guy.
Oh, and not to jump ahead, but I mean, really that final sequence with him, the acting there is tremendous.
Yeah,
and it is, but there's some other points in the movie where he gets a little close to going over the edge.
sure. It's a little bit of a corny character. He's the guy that in jail that can get you whatever you want. He's the guy in jail that gets, he got car parts for that Mustang. Like that's impressive.
So that's the thing you were talking, Ryan, about how the opening of the film leads you to believe that he's just some guy, leading a normal life as opposed to being on
furlough.
Furlough from prison.
Now, Doug, you're a cop. We always have to bring that up every episode.
Mm-hmm.
What is furlough exactly? Like, I understand it's a break from jail, but how is it granted, and how often is it given? Is it something they still do, or?
Yeah, in minimal security prisons, you're not giving hardcore criminals furloughs, but you have to earn it. You have to be a trusted convict because you're trusted to kind of just go on your own for the weekend. I mean, they grant furloughs for special occasions like weddings, funerals, and like holidays. Some holidays you do, but like you have to be an exemplary inmate to even get one granted. As far as I know, I don't work in the jail, but I mean, it's as far as I know, that's how it works.
So the little sequence here that we have before he goes back to jail during his furlough, we see that he is a mechanic,
loser's
by
walk.
trade. That he has now we think this is a picture of his father that we see, but it's not. We'll find out later who it is, but it's a picture of an older gentleman that he seems to be fond of. We think it's his father, but it's not. And then we see that he's got a girlfriend that he's crazy about, and we see that he's good with the kids. He's playing football. We also see that he has a football past. So we kind of get this feeling of this character that he's an easygoing, nice guy, just wants to do his time, get back out there in the community, open up that garage, start his business.
How would you guys feel? Let me just butt in real quick. How would you guys feel if you're a parent of one of those kids that they're playing football with a prisoner out on furlough?
I would probably be a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. So that's a good point, actually. So anyways, and then the action kicks up right away. He spends his first night in jail, back from furlough, and the tension kicks in right away where we see these serious guards coming into the jail, and it looks almost like a breakout. It almost looks like a midnight, what do you call it? Like almost like a mission, but it's the guards coming in from another jail, taking Frank out of his pretty cushy security prison into what will be a major max security prison.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that sequence?
Real busy, like a jerky camera, a lot going on. The to add to the confusion, I guess, that Frank is experiencing. They're trying to confuse us as a viewer as well.
Yeah, he keeps saying, I haven't done anything. Why is this happening? Even the guards, like at the minimal security prison, are like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we have orders. And we get the first glimpse of Captain Meisner.
Yeah.
Played by John Amos.
Yeah.
Now, let's say this guy is the MVP of this film. Anyone disagree with that?
No, I love this guy.
Yeah.
No,
so
he delivers every film he's in.
Yeah. He is awesome. Boy, what a presence. What a presence.
You can tell, like, at this point, he's just doing his job. He's not a bad guy.
No.
He's doing his job. He's doing what he was told to do under what he assumes are legitimate orders.
He gives everybody the benefit of the doubt. So he's given the warden benefit of the doubt here that this guy, Frank, deserves to be transferred.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. And that's, we know as a multiple viewer of this film, his character arc and where it goes. And so there might even be a tendency to be like, oh, why is he such a dick at the beginning? But he's not. Like you said, he's in a dangerous job, and he got to be captain for a reason. That he's not going to ask every criminal that he's transferring, hey, are you a nice guy? Are you somebody I can hang out with after you get out of jail? Like, he's treating every criminal the same. You come into my jail. Here's the rules. This is what you're going to do. Obey the rules, or you're going to get a lot of pain from me. Before we get to Meisner and Frank talking to each other, we get the scene of him getting thrown in that truck. He gets to the new prison, and I thought this was a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
But
Well, pun intended, right?
we say it every time. I know it comes out automatically. Again, Doug, this is for you. Well, when Frank is transferred to the prison, we see shots of all the guards outside the gate, and they all pump their shotguns.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know that's done for effect for movies, but what happens when you pump a shotgun like that? When
you move the shotgun round from the magazine into the chamber, so it's ready to fire.
Okay, so would you do this at any point unless you had any intention of firing?
No. No. I mean, they're some guys, the old time guys would do it, to do it in front of a group just to get a reaction out of them. If we were called for like a group that won't disperse, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like the old time guys back, probably back in the 90s and 80s would jump out of the car, pump their shotgun, and try to get people to pucker up a little bit.
Yeah, but right now the prisoner Frank hasn't even left the truck yet.
No, there's no earthly reason for them to do this.
It's like they're transferring like Bane from Batman or something. Like, what are they afraid of here? Like, it's almost like that's what we're getting, is that like we as an audience of what kind of prisoner is Frank? Like the fear that these cops already have. This guy that's going to exit this truck. They got I counted, it was 4 shotguns, 4 of them getting ready to lamp. Like, and again, I know a little bit about weapons, but my understanding is shotguns have a spread, right?
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? Like, how are they going to shoot this guy accurately if he does anything with him being surrounded by other officers in handcuffs?
Oh, no. There's no shooting him. They're shooting him and everybody around him.
Yeah. That's how dangerous this guy is, that even there'll be casualties of the cops if things go awry.
Do you guys want to talk about the prison real quick? Because I'm sure, I know when I lived in New Jersey, I drove past that prison quite a few times in Rahway. I'm sure you have as well, Doug.
I grew up 5 minutes from there.
Okay, before you guys get on your New Jersey love fest, I will say, as the only Canadian out here on the West Coast, this is, I think, the 5th movie in a row that New Jersey has featured in the film that we've covered. What is going on with Stallone in New Jersey? Am I missing something about him as an actor, that he does New Jersey films?
Stallone, New Jersey.
Yeah. Stop Or My Mom Will Shoot was New Jersey. Copland, definitely New Jersey. This one's New Jersey. What else did we do?
The Specialist. Is there a Jersey thing in The Specialist?
I swear there was, because if not 4 out of the 5. So 4 out of the 5 films off the top of my head have dealt with New Jersey.
What about Assassins?
What's that?
Assassins. There was no Jersey, was it?
Is one of those two. One of those two did have it, because it's been every film maybe about
just like a mention, right?
It's either mentioned or something. It's Jersey, but anyways, go on with your Jersey jail talk there.
No, I was just gonna say, it's always cool when you live near a movie location. You know what I mean? And it's
because that's a real prison.
Yeah, and they filmed. Did they? Where I don't remember. I didn't redo all the research I did for the SlyCast episode, but I don't remember if they actually filmed inside of Rahway, Doug, or if they just used the exteriors.
I think it was all on location.
Yeah, so they were filming with real inmates.
Yeah. Real inmates. Yeah, there's some trivia about the inmates too. Like they handpicked every day of shooting like 200 inmates.
Yeah,
and they got like little bonuses, like a good food spread and like $26 a day or something like that.
Yeah, they got paid extra wages and like the extras wages, and they got donuts and food, and it was like a lottery draw or something each day. And so all those background prisoners are legit inmates, and you could tell these are like you can find actors that look tough, and then you can just get the guys that are prisoners. And some of these guys, in fact, they had about 30 or 40 bodyguards in all the crowd at all times, dressed as prisoners, just to protect the extras and the real crew from these prisoners.
Yeah, and Chink Weber, that obviously had to be a guy that's still serving life in prison, right? I mean,
yeah, he was one of the extras.
Okay, we're going to talk about, before we get to Chink Weber, I love that we can call him Chink.
Yeah, but also, I mean, that prison, and I haven't driven by there in about 4 years now, but it still looks exactly the same as it did when they filmed Lockup, at least on the exterior.
The building itself is the same. It had a new paint job. The dome, I think, is red now instead of
really?
green. Yeah. But I remember back in the 80s when I was a schoolboy in Carteret, New Jersey, which is the next town over from Broadway. I remember when they were filming there because it was big news for our town. You know, that
Heck yeah.
our neighboring town was having a Sylvester Stallone film filmed in the prison. And I remember that when I did see it as a kid, I remember like just those exterior shots of the prison really really hit home because I was like, I know that building. I've been by there. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chink Weber, the Chuck Wepner, who was supposed to be Chink Weber in Rocky II, was serving time in Rahway State Prison at the time that this was filming.
Wow. Okay.
He was. Let me see here.
Can I just say something about Chuck Wepner that I'm getting tired of?
What's that?
This whole he's the inspiration for Rocky. All the inspiration he was about a boxer in the match, an unknown boxer fighting the champion of the world going the distance. That's it.
Oh yeah, it's not like they took his life story, but the spark of the inspiration.
That's fine. That's fine. But I'm getting so sick and tired, and I don't think Chuck will ever come on my show anyways. But that was the spark. But no offense to Chuck, but I don't think there's anything in Rocky's personality or his home life or anything that represents who Chuck is.
He didn't even go to distance. He got knocked out in the 15th or the 14th, I think. Or it was
either he took Muhammad Ali further than Muhammad Ali ever had been before, and I think he knocked him down. Those are great elements, and that's awesome that Sly. Now, was Sly really in the crowd? Was he really in the crowd?
No.
I mean,
no, that's the story, bro. He was in the crowd.
That's the official story.
Everything I saw was he was watching it from wherever he was. I didn't hear that he was in the crowd.
Me and Ryan seem to have heard the same interview.
Yeah. He was broke, wasn't he? How's he going to afford tickets to a Muhammad Ali fight?
Well, maybe that's why he's broke.
Maybe he rented out Butkus for the night.
Yeah.
I met Chuck Wepner a couple of times. I don't know if we've talked about it on this podcast or if I even talked about it on SlyCast. I'm sure I have. A girl I was dating, her family was from Bayonne. Chuck Wepner's the Bayonne Bleeder, and her dad was actually good friends with Chuck Wepner. So family get-togethers and stuff like that, birthdays, Chuck and his wife Linda would come over. Right. And so there were a couple of those get-togethers that I was at, and I'll have to see if I can dig it out. There's a picture of me with Chuck and my ex-girlfriend's father, and man, Chuck was he's just a immense dude. I mean, I'm not big by any stretch, at least, vertically. But man, he's got like those meaty, the meat hook hands and stuff.
But I guess the sore spot that I have, and I don't know him personally, and I don't know everything about anything, but I heard like he kind of got bitter about this whole Rocky thing, and even went after some money on Sly. And
well, the story is that he was offered a flat payout or a percentage of future earnings, and at the time, nobody knew Rocky was going to become this movie that we were still talking about in 2019. So, like any sensible person, he took the guaranteed payout, and I think he ended up feeling kind of, bitter about the amount of money that he left on the table, which you can't fault the guy for being angry about that, right?
No, but
I guess I
didn't know if he needed to go through legal means. I'm sure if he just, hadn't aside with Stallone and, I don't know, said, look, man, why don't we just do this like gentlemen? I don't know.
Well, put up your dukes?
No, like
I mean, imagine you're a guy like Sly, and then all of a sudden you're dealing with everything like a gentleman, and then you're paying out money to every bozo that comes.
That's what I kind of feel like. I feel like it's like George Lucas getting sued by everyone because somebody else he saw that what was that samurai movie, The Fortress,
Oh,
and he was inspired by. Say again.
Was it the? It was the Fortress.
The Fortress. It was like this Japanese movie that he borrowed the idea of like the bumbling idiots or whatever, which was C-3PO and R2-D2 or something like that, and the save the world type thing. Well, anyways, the point is like there's stealing an idea and there's a genesis of an idea, and I think. Anyways, at the end of the day, Rocky to me has got nothing to do with Chuck Wepper's knife, and I still have to see that movie, The Bleeder. Is that
Mhm.
Bleeder? Is that what it's
Chuck.
called?
Chuck.
Or Chuck?
Chuck?
It's called different things in different countries for some reason.
Well, he was at the time. Chuck was arrested in 1985 with 4 ounces of cocaine, and he was sentenced to 10 years. That seems like a lot for
That's silly.
4 ounces, but
I think
that
drugs.
was,
Yeah,
that
the
was
Hidden
the-
Fortress.
Hidden
Hey, Jonathan
Fortress.
still lives.
Right.
Yeah, Jonathan, you're still on the show. Thanks, brother. Yeah, so Jonathan, correct us. The Hidden Fortress. Okay. All right, so let's get back to Lockup. What were we going to say? Let's talk about Meisner as a character. So John Amos was on that TV show called Good Times. Did you guys ever watch those in reruns or whatever?
Heck yeah.
No,
Dynamite, man. Come on.
Dynamite.
If you're in
Yeah,
the 40s, man,
Jimmy-
you definitely watched that show.
What was his
Yeah.
name? Jimmy.
AJ Walker.
AJ Walker. Yeah, Walker.
And Meisner, the way he had those sunglasses and his presence was just powerful, and you could almost like I wonder in another life he could have been a police captain or a prison captain. I think he would have done well.
He's got the look.
Yeah. And
Hard
his
as nails.
first. Does anyone remember his 2 rules?
What? Don't piss off Meisner, right?
Yeah, it was. He says
Don't cross Meisner.
No, it was close. He gave Frank 2 rules. He says 2 things to remember: I am Meisner,
Oh yeah.
and don't f with Meisner. Yeah. So that was great. That was our introduction to Meisner. So we're thinking, boy, Frank's gonna have a hard time with this Meisner guy.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But we find out later that his true opponent or the true issue in the prison was, of course, Chink. What was his last name again?
Weber.
Chink Weber.
Chink Weber.
Chink
Yes.
Weber. That was Sonny Landham.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about first the actor Sonny Landham. So he passed away in 2017 as well.
Yeah.
Do you know about his?
Congestive heart failure at the age of 76. So he was 48 in this film, and I think he looked really good for 48. He was a handsome, big kind of guy. I thought, and his voice, that deep voice he has,
Yeah.
it's such a menacing. Like he plays that bad guy so well, and he's an intimidating. At least on screen, he seemed like an intimidating fellow.
Well, the Predator made quick work of him, though, so he couldn't have been that tough. I've always been bothered by how quick the Predator dispatches him off screen.
Yeah, we don't even get to see it.
Yeah,
It's like literally like 30 seconds. He's like, go, I'll take care of the Predator. And then you hear him scream like 4 seconds later.
That's it.
Yeah, he was the other movie that we know him from is The Predator, and
I think, and he also had a party and kitty, like a kitty and stud in his past, didn't he?
Did he?
I did read that he got his start in porn.
Nice.
I didn't see what, but I knew him from 48 Hours.
Yeah.
As you know, I saw that movie way younger than I should have, and that the bad guys in that movie scared me. There's some pretty badass dudes.
He was a great heel or bad man. I thought he did a great job. Very intimidating, and the scene where, well, we'll get to it. So, Sonny Landham died.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate. So he's passed away just a year and a half ago too. So two actors from this film died in 2017, a little bit younger than they should have, which is unfortunate.
Did you know that Sonny ran for governor of Kentucky in 2003?
Oh no, I
do know he got into politics. I couldn't remember what office he ran for though.
He lost that election. He ran for the 27th State Senate District of Kentucky in 2004. Then he announced a run for the U.S. Senate in 2008 until he went on a radio show and called for the genocide of Arabs. And he was subsequently removed from the race. Oh, man.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right.
People don't know how to keep their mouth shut.
So he wanted the extermination. So he was a villain to the end, eh?
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. Well, was he really Native American?
He was,
I believe he had.
part Cherokee
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah. Well, so the Predator did make a quick work of him. He did that like Indian ritual or something where he carved his chest with a knife or something. Didn't he do that? Or am I remembering that right?
Yep. I don't know if it was
And
a ritual. I remember him cutting his chest with the knife.
yeah, to draw the Predator in or something like that. Or, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So
I think the other thing though is Chink is a really complex character here.
Sure.
More so probably on paper, but I mean, everything he does from the moment he starts interacting with Frank is at the warden's command, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
seems that way.
basically just doing what the warden is telling him to do. Yes.
Now, do you think that he would have been naturally inclined to take that role at the prison otherwise?
This probably wasn't his first rodeo doing this kind of thing for the warden. So he even had a special jacket.
Yeah, it's just interesting, that like that's a character that you dismiss him pretty quickly as just like a black and white bad guy, but there's like a layer of complexity there when you look at the relationship between him and the warden and what he's being tasked to do and how that gets him to start doing worse and worse things to try and break Frank, which it's just interesting. You wonder how bad of a man he truly was. It's just a cool character in my opinion, and it's that reveal is a little bit more. It adds a layer of complexity to that character that I think is really cool.
Yeah,
not knowing too much about this movie. Again, watching it yesterday, I thought like with Frank kind of being able to deflect all that shit that Weber was giving him, I thought there would like eventually be some kind of like mutual respect between Chink Weber towards Frank, but it, like you said, Craig, it only got worse and worse.
Yeah,
and that beatdown that Frank gave Chink, that was brutal. That was some good violent fighting, I thought.
Yeah, well, Frank took a page out of Seagal's book, right? He wraps the little 5-pound plate in the towel, just starts going to town with it, man, handing out the slaps.
So yeah, the violence in this movie, I can see why it was rated R for '89. The violence was not comical, like in a comic book way, but it was brutal. Like the impact that in this movie of the punches, even the football game, that violent football game in the rain and the mud, you felt those hits. And Stallone, being typical Stallone fact. Now I noticed a couple things in this film. Stallone in the trivia, and I saw it in the film, that he did a lot of the football stunts, which in a way is a stunt, getting hit, tackled, pushed around. But the fight sequence, some of the between him and Chink, and then between him and Manley in that at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the ground scenes with him getting kicked in the face and stuff was a stunt double. So it's really weird that some of the stunt double scenes were very tame stunts compared to the football scenes. So I always found that weird, but I heard he almost broke his leg though for real in that football sequence.
Yeah, some of those hits were brutal.
Yeah.
What I speaking of the fight scenes, the Foley in those fight scenes was ridiculous. Those punch sounds were terrible.
Yes,
that's like a problem Hollywood had in that era of filmmaking. Like, and Rocky was probably partially responsible for it, man. But everything just sounds thunderous. Like it's like the Foley people didn't remember what things actually sound like.
Right. Yeah.
It is weird. It sounds like every hit he's hitting like I don't know what the sound is like, and it's that crunchy, cracky. The volume of the sound is so big. Of every forearming you in the face is going to have this big explosive sound. It is kind of silly, and that did take me out a little bit of the fight. And again, I'll say about Sly, no offense to him, he's an action star, absolutely. He's got a great presence on screen, but his fighting techniques in the films have always been terrible. And in fact, it wasn't until Expendables Part 1 where he fought Steve Austin
in like that fight. Krav Maga style, right? Or
then Rambo Part 3 where he did the stick fighting. And I'm always so he has the ability, Sly, as a person to train. I mean, obviously with the boxing moves, he has a grace to him that he can train with some sort of hand-to-hand style combat. And we know, I said it before, with Matt Damon from the Bourne movies, Matt Damon can't fight in real life, but they made him look like he can. I don't know why they didn't do that with Sly in more movies. Now, they didn't do that much in the 80s and 90s. They didn't do that. It wasn't until like The Matrix where they kind of made fighting cool.
I think that's what the thing is, Ryan. If you weren't like a Bruce Lee or a Jackie Chan or somebody that was, or a Steven Seagal,
Sure.
I just don't think audiences held people to those standards. And, I guess maybe The Matrix might have been the movie that kind of broke it wide open and said, hey, stop being lazy, learn the moves.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, Stallone had that Rocky fighting style.
Yeah,
So I mean, I think they wanted to display that punch, that left hook or the right cross as much as they could. Yeah, I mean, he looks
after. Sorry, say that again.
I was gonna say he looks like a boxer when he throws that punch.
Yeah, and I will say again that final sequence of him fighting those guards. If you go back and listen to the sounds, the after DR they call it when they do the after
ADR,
ADR, it's horrible. They must have had Sly go in the room and just go, oh, yeah. It's I don't know. Like again, it's 1989, but it took me out of the movie a little bit with that performance of the ADR of the fight sequence. But there's two characters we got to talk about still. I know we're getting already to the hour mark here, but that's fine. I liked Eclipse again. We have Eclipse played by Frank McRae.
Mm-hmm.
And trivia: what were the other three films that Frank McRae was in with Sly?
Fist,
Paradise Alley, Rocky 2.
Yeah.
I want to give that guy, every time I see him on screen, I just want to give him a big hug.
Yeah, and he was 45 in this film, and he was also a short-time NFL player back in the late 70s, I think. But he seems like he's still alive. He's still with us.
This same year, he did a Bond movie as well. He was in License to Kill.
Nice.
Hey, Craig, on your Week of Rocky Minute this year, didn't we talk about him?
I believe so. He was at the very.
He was the meat house.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But,
Hey, Rock, I gotta lay you off. Union rules.
But even in that scene, like you like the guy because he was like, Rock, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, I just want to give that guy a hug every time I see him on screen, man.
Especially he played a big part in this movie, and I loved him.
I do block a lot of sun.
Get on that other team. You're playing for him anyway.
Yeah, that's right. He was great. Some great one-liners. So yeah, he comes around and gives Frank the job in the garage in the prison. So let's. I know we're kind of all over the place, but that's how we do these reviews. But I love the sequence, and it's a montage sequence. Did you guys catch the building the car montage?
Oh yeah, set to that song.
What was that song? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, it wasn't quite as good as Burning Heart or anything like that. But I will say,
what was it? Survivor?
No, Survivor though does sing of the song at the end in the closing credits.
Yeah.
Something about not enough time in the world or end of the world or whatever that song was called. I think I wrote that.
End of the world or something like that.
It's horrible. And the Survivor singer, it's horrible. It's a horrible song, dude. It kind of reminded me of First Blood, the ending. It's a long road when you're on your own and it hurts so much. Do you remember that? It's a horrible song, man.
Dude, Long Road is not a horrible song.
What's that?
Long Road is not a horrible song.
Okay, no, go back and listen to that song. Shall I sing it again? I mean, it's
you made it horrible.
Well, okay. Even when I saw this movie as a kid, I'm like, why do we have this Frank Sinatra wannabe singing the song at the end of First Blood? Like we had this balls out fight and him yelling and screaming at the end of this movie, and now we have this. It's a long road.
so you can decompress after all the action, you know.
They should have just had the Rocky theme. They should just have the Jerry. They should have had the
I wonder
Jerry
if anybody ever made a cut of that where they're leading him out in the cuffs and the Rocky music.
I meant to say Rambo. Oh, too many Rocky Rambo talk. Now, did anyone catch? Okay, let's go back to so we got the car building montage scene, which was a lot of fun. You know, it was a light moment. It was the lightest moment of the movie because now everything's going to go poorly for the gang. And when that was a great sequence, though. Again, this movie actually we haven't really talked about it, but this movie does a lot of great dramatic moments that I think play off well and haven't aged that poorly over 30 years.
Well, and they also show like the kind of person that Frank is. Like, he's a natural leader, but at the same time, he takes like first base under his wing.
Yeah.
And even though this guy's basically got like 3 life sentences or something, he's trying to connect with the guy and show him that there's still, a reason to sort of be a good guy. And the scene where he's pushing him around and says they're in Atlantic City and helps him feel what that's like. You just get a really good sense of Frank Leone as a character.
Now, let's go. You mentioned first base. We haven't talked about him. 2 things. One, it's a horrible name to have in prison. Especially when you're a good-looking kid like this guy. Can you imagine? My name's first base. Well, we'll change that quickly.
Make you a home run.
We'll call you a grand slam before the night's over. Oh, anyways, that was my little joke there. 2, it was played by Larry Romano. And did you guys ever watch King of Queens?
Loved comedy? King of Queens. Loved King of Queens.
So Larry Romano was on the first 2 or 3 seasons of King of Queens playing one of Doug's friends. He was written off the show. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't either.
He was okay. It wasn't like that funny, but he was kind of like an early Joey Tribbiani type character. So before Friends, you had the Larry Romano play
he was
that
like,
type of.
Well, no, King of Queens was after Friends, though.
It was before Friends.
King of Queens?
No, the first few seasons were.
No,
they must have been.
Get out of town. Maybe in Canada.
Yeah, we got everything. We're still waiting for X-Files to show here. Now I have to do some research. I'll do it later. Okay. Well, that being said, that was that kind of type of lovable, dopey, character.
And Joey Tribbiani did Joey Tribbiani on Married with Children. Remember, he dated Kelly Bundy.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
And he pretty much played the same character.
Yeah,
Can
like
we all just
greasy Italian.
Kelly Bundy for a second. Oh, yeah. I knew at the age of 12, watching Married with Children, that I was definitely straight. That's all I'm saying. Like it was not a choice. It was just, nothing wrong with gay people. I'm just saying, I knew, me personally, when I saw Kelly Bundy on TV, I was like, yep.
Yeah, those skin tight dresses do it to you.
Yeah. Though it's kind of weird watching now in my 40s, and I'm like, I don't think I can feel that way anymore. I'm after Peggy in my mind because I'm 40. Okay, sorry guys. What was I going to talk about here? Oh yeah, so the montage scene. I love the smashing up of that car sequence. To this day, that sequence is heartbreaking. It's hard to watch. I always wondered, did they get a second car? Was it a prop car? Because they smashed the crap out of that Mustang. What do you know anything about what that car may or not been? Or
usually in scenes like that, don't they get like they would have like the Mustang body on some other shitty chassis just to
I hope so. I love Mustangs, and that was a beautiful car. And when they hit the air filter part, and it was spraying the radiator fluid everywhere, Eclipse started crying, and the Bill music.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Chink got that great belt buckle out of it, though, man.
Yeah. Like my belt, boy. Yeah, I love how he got the belt. Who put his belt together for him, though?
Well, he's got all the resources of the prison at his disposal, right?
True.
Yeah, he used that shank to poke a hole in his belt.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then we had Meisner there. Even he was looking at this scene of, he wasn't too happy. We started to see his heart soften a little bit for the plight of Frank and the gang. And then Frank goes into the hole for 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah. He suffers some brutality in there.
Yeah, woken up every hour on the hour. Frank Leone, 510. And then did you catch what he said at the very end? Excuse me, what he said at the very end to get beaten up there?
Who, Frank?
Yeah, like he was so tired that he said something else.
I'm not sure. Maybe.
He said Marilyn Monroe, 35 or 37. I don't know. That was so I had the captions on, as I always do, especially for Sylvester movies. So he said Marilyn Monroe, 35, 36, I don't know. And then the guards come in because he gave us the wrong name and number. This was probably after, who knows, 10, 12, 2 weeks of being sleep deprived. And he actually says, as they were beating him up, that he was only joking.
Oh, really?
So he did it as a joke.
Oh,
but he was so drunk tired, but he was just fooling around. But he actually mentions, as he's getting beat to crap, I was just joking. Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
My one takeaway from the whole scene is he was, the warden sees him working out in his cell, so he cuts his portions in half, so he won't even have the energy to do that.
Good catch. Incredible. Asking for water, which, as we know, it shows the sadistic behavior of Drumgoole that he's not even given water, which is a basic human right for any prisoner, of course.
Yeah, we haven't talked much about his influence. I
mean, would he have had the authority to get that transfer? How would he have made that happen?
Well, let's first talk about, let's first talk about why was Frank in jail to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys all catch that, of course?
Yeah, the guy that taught him how to work on cars got beat up by some punks.
Yeah, so what happened? So Frank was a street kid. He was on the streets. We don't know when he entered the streets, but at 14, he was a street kid. And this guy, I forget his name, the one we see in the pictures, this older gentleman, took him under his wing, said, hey, why don't you come work at my garage? And became a father figure to Frank. And sometime later, some street thugs beat the crap out of this older gentleman, and the cops didn't do anything about it. So Frank took justice into his own hands and beat the crap out of the guys that beat the crap out of the old man, and he got arrested for it. So he went to jail, and then the old man that took care of him passed away while he was in jail. And he asked the warden at the time, which was Drumgoole, hey, can I go see this? Can I have some furlough, like we talked about, to go see this gentleman, the guy that raised me from teenagehood on? Can I go pay my respects to him while they bury him? Drumgoole says, no, you're a criminal. You broke the law. You will not be going out. And then he escapes prison in the meantime to go see the funeral, but gets caught. But the justice system took mercy on Frank and not the warden. And Drumgoole was embarrassed by this, by his cohorts or whatever, that this criminal who not only escaped prison under Drumgoole's watch, but at the same time, he didn't get in trouble for it.
They made him a hero, and they made Drumgoole look like the bad guy.
That's right.
The whole thing.
So Drumgoole got sent to this crappy prison in New Jersey as I say as punishment, but as a transfer. It's a crappier prison. While Frank is to spend whatever time he has left in jail, and then Drumgoole's like, oh, I got to get payback for this guy. And the idea for Drumgoole was, I'm going to break him. I'm going to make him break the law while he's in jail. That way he'll stay here longer, and I'll make his life a living hell, and he'll give him the guy a tour, and all that stuff happens. How's that for a recap of why this is all happening?
Don't even have to watch the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think it's important for any of our listeners who have probably seen the movie, because even I kind of forgot, why is Frank in jail? And they did explain it, of course, but it's done really. It's not really over-explained. It's done in a quick conversation that he has with Eclipse, and that's it.
And also, at the beginning of the movie, we find out he only has 6 months left in his sentence. So when Drumgoole has him transferred to this max security prison, this hell, he promises Frank that he's going to make that 6 months hell for him. And that's exactly what he's doing.
So he's now he's getting the crap kicked out of him for saying Marilyn Monroe. And Meisner comes in and tells him to stop beating him up. And Manley, that big white guy with the bad hair and he's kind of tubby, right? So Manley says something snarky to Meisner. And my favorite moment in the film was from Meisner when he says, let me quote here, I just got it written down just to make sure I got it here. So Meisner, Captain Meisner says this to Manley. He says, get the hell out of my sight before I shine your face with my boots, you fat piece of shit. I love that moment. Now, we don't hear that anymore. Do we hear the POS statement in films anymore?
No, that's a heavy hitter too.
Yeah, I bet you that I know Stallone didn't get a writing credit on it, but I bet you that line was written by Stallone.
Well, the guy that played Manly, he's kind of typecast in these roles. I've seen him in other stuff where he plays that creepy dirtbag type of character. But I love that fat piece of S. Like you don't hear, like when is the last time that has been said in a film?
I say it a lot. Not necessarily fat part, but I call people a POS quite regularly.
So,
it's usually behind their back.
No, yeah. It's actually a brutal, like it's a pretty good like insult. Like you just don't hear it anymore.
It's
like one step below scumbag.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be above scumbag myself, but yeah.
Do you know the origins of the word scumbag?
No.
Off-air research it.
Okay. Well, I have to do it off air. I can. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's got something to do with the scrotum, I'm sure.
You're a smart man.
I'm gonna call someone a scumbag from now on because it's like I had no idea. I love it.
Now, I want to, before we move on from
of course.
He's like the typical kind of hides behind his badge.
Right.
You know, he's only got balls because he's protected by other guards and by, his badge. He knows that if any prisoners step to him, then, he's going to have 100 guards on his back. That's why he gets off being an asshole. But he's a real, probably a wussy in real life.
Well, yeah, he's a bully.
Not on the job.
Sounds cliche, but he's your typical bully.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the backing of the warden. He's got carte blanche when it comes to Frank. So then we have the sequence here after the car's been broken up and Frank has been in the hole for 6 weeks. He comes back to the gang and looking at the car damage. And the comment is made like, our leader's back type thing. And Stallone gets a pretty good speech here, which is kind of reminiscent of the end of First Blood. Speaking of First Blood, that same type of like, when he gets all crying about the body parts everywhere. And he's yelling at these guys. And I love it how Sly says, "It's his. It's his."
I think if I recall correctly, and Jeff Hewlett, I think, pointed it out on our SlyCast episode, though, like his voice even cracks.
Yeah.
Like he really vocally, got the essence of that line and the delivery.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. I mean, I love Sly, but when he starts to yell and stuff, it does slur a little bit. We know that comes from his speech impediment. Comes from when he was taken out of his mother's womb with forceps that wrecked the nerve in his face. But
do we even know if that's true?
I don't know anything anymore.
That's Jimmy Gambino.
Yeah, between Jimmy Gambino and Mike Kuna telling us the origin story of Rocky is not true. I don't know what to believe anymore. But anyways, the speech though was really good because he's talking about prison, how nothing here is ours. Just do your time, enjoy the moments that you have. But the idea, we're not a gang. This isn't like some TV show. We're prisoners. The warden owns us. And I love how even the character Frank here, he knows that he takes the fantasy away and he knows that at the end of the day, the warden owns us. You don't have to like it, but that's prison.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to the first base death, the death of first base. And even to this day, that death is brutal. It's a brutal death sequence.
Yeah, I actually thought they were going to be more graphic with it, and I'm glad they showed some restraint. I thought they were going to show him like with the barbell right across his neck or something. At least they only smashed it on his chest.
They smashed it on his chest, but even to this day, and I knew it was coming, like when they dropped that weight on his chest, it's filmed really well because of course sound effects and stuff. You add the crunching sound. But they drop whatever it is. It's probably a styrofoam bar that hits his chest. But when that bar drops on the actor's chest and you hear the crunching sound, you're just like, oh, you just couldn't imagine the kind of pain that would have been to die that way.
It was roughly 300 pounds that they dropped on him.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those things where Chink at that point realizes the only way that he's gonna break Frank or make Frank act out of turn is to kill somebody.
Yeah.
It's a real drastic measure.
So, Doug, you hadn't seen this in a while, so I'm going to ask you. First off, before we leave the death scene, did you catch who was holding first base right leg?
His right leg? No, I did not.
Danny Trejo.
Yep.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I saw that he had a cameo. I don't even know if it was a cameo at this point.
He was probably still in prison during the film of this movie.
Yeah, maybe. I saw that he was in this, but I didn't see where. Damn.
Yeah, that's where he was holding first base's right leg there. That was his little moment on screen. But Danny Trejo is an ex-convict, but obviously a great guy, and he's made amends to society. Now he's having a good life acting in movies.
And it actually has a pretty cool doco joint in California.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, Doug, I'm going to ask you, as a first-time viewer in a way, did you remember what was going to happen after that sequence, how Frank was going to react and the result of it?
I vaguely remember the fight between him and Chink. I remember him going after him in the prison yard.
Yeah, that was a great moment because even as a viewer, we're kind of tired of Frank getting pushed around. Like, we're getting tired of this. And so there's this weird release that we even have as a viewer, even though it's going to get him in trouble. We're like, yes, finally, just beat the crap out of this guy. And so when he grabs that weight and puts in the towel, and he goes over and he clocks that one prisoner right in the face, like one of Chink's men, just boom. I love that moment. And then their fight in the yard is brutal. They're rolling around in the mud, throwing punches at each other, and he keeps saying, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
To Chink. And when he puts him on the bed, and he's pulverizing. What I love is he doesn't hold back in the punches on the ground, and he's breaking his face open. Then he like a ragdoll throws him on the bench, and he's going to kill. At that moment, we think he's going to kill Chink the same way that first base just got killed. I'm like, yeah, justice, man. And Sly did a really good job facially, as he always does with that face acting that he does, holding that weight, deciding is he going to drop this or not. I don't know. I like that whole moment.
And when they killed first base, there was 3 guys. There was one on each side of the bar, and then Chink was holding the bar over
spotters.
First base. Yeah, spotters.
He was a terrible spotter.
But Frank grabbed the barbell all by himself. So I guess we're supposed to be in awe at Sylvester Stallone's strength in that.
Well, are we always in awe?
Well, yes, that is a fact.
So
that's a lot of
I'm sure you get some good drum ghoul nose hair in that scene, Ryan, when he's watching.
We get the nose hair sequence when he's strapped to the electric chair. There's a light in his face. Yeah.
But drum ghoul wants him to kill Chink.
Yeah.
He's saying, do it.
Of course, because now it's like he's like, kill Chink for me, and you'll be in here forever. Murder.
Yep.
But
I mean, I think also that's like there's the villains in this movie are so like there's a lot of depth there because you have to wonder like at what point what did all it take was for Frank escaping to bring that out of Drum Ghoul, or was it just years of being exposed to the worst of humanity? Like, was he ever a good man or not? And I mean, like he became a warden, so obviously there had to be something there. So I mean, the villains in this movie are just they're effing great.
Agreed. All these characters are fleshed out pretty nicely. And yeah, we don't know the whole history of Drum Ghoul, why he is the way he is, but something, you know what? I've always said I personally work with people that are nice people. I work with people that aren't that nice. And some of us are prisoners, some of us are prison guards, some of us are wardens, and just the personalities, they exist in all of us. And just because you're a criminal doesn't mean you're an asshole, Yeah. And so
I do think that they crank up the evil on these old movies because I don't really truly exists.
Yeah. Well, it's a movie. It's played up. You got an hour and a half to tell a story here. We don't have a 10-episode arc to get behind their motives or why are they the way they are.
Analyzing a movie minute by minute has ruined movies for me for good because every movie I look at with a very analytical eye.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Speaking of which, I wonder what movie I would love to do minute by minute. I have a couple in my mind that I would love to do, just like like you guys talked about that in one of your last episodes, where like
Mhm.
people have some ideas they don't want to share it because they want
Yeah.
to keep it.
Yeah.
All right, so we now we get to the ending, act here where Frank has just he's been shanked, and right after that incident, he was shanked. He's now in recovery, and his wife is allowed to have a half-hour visit with Frank after his recovery, and we're led to believe they're gonna have a conjugal visit.
Yeah, they put the little barrier.
Mhm.
Can you guys pull it off with your significant other in the hospital bed with a curtain separating you and the guards?
How long has it been?
Well, I won't need 30 minutes, but
But the way that they have it set up, they're gonna fuck with him. So
Yeah. And you almost have to assume that Frank was heavily medicated to not realize that they were gonna fuck with him.
Mhm.
You can understand the wife being, or the girlfriend being, kind of taken aback by it, but
yeah, I just find it surprising. I'm not a prude by any stretch of the imagination, but I would have been like, honey, I can't. They're literally behind the curtain. I can't even peek when someone's standing next to me. Let them perform with a bed sheet between me and the audience.
I don't remember where I saw this, but isn't there a movie where they have like the conjugal visit in like a separate like little apartment?
Yeah,
On the
I've seen that
grounds?
too. I've seen that too in shows or movies. I've seen that. Yeah, it's like a little
like a trailer,
like a screwing trailer.
like Arrested Development. They have like a little.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's
maybe
probably
that's what
where
it
I
was.
saw it. Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm thinking of. That's hilarious. So of course they pull back the curtain and they say, okay, visit's over and blah blah blah.
This is where the movie gets really dark, man. There's been some dark stuff in this movie,
Yes.
but man, it gets dark.
So Craig, why don't you talk about the scene there that I think you're referring to?
Oof. Well, so they basically break up the coitus.
Yep.
It's true coitus interruptus.
Do you think he was midwood?
So
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the bridge scene is, but we have Frank is in a cell and another inmate is on the other side, and he's getting ready to be released.
Yeah.
And he talks about how he straight up says the warden's giving him an assignment.
I don't think it was the warden. He said he got a job.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was like
He's just saying
$1,000.
he's going back to crime even after he leaves. He's got some job.
Yeah, and then he reveals that he's gonna go pay Frank's girlfriend a visit and rape her.
Yeah, it's a great sequence because he goes
He's got
over
the
to
picture.
Oh, that's a great reveal. And the guy steps out of the wheelchair
And that guy's creepy, man. He is perfectly cast.
He reminded me of what's his name from Cobra, the villain, a little bit. He had like he looked evil. That guy looked evil. He had that look.
So my question is, this guy had a ponytail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we find out later that he's a fellow prison guard. Are they allowed to have ponytails, these guards?
Did he have a ponytail?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I don't know. The prison personnel they're more liberal with their grooming policy.
Are they?
It kind of seems like all bets might be off in that prison too.
Yeah, especially there.
So yeah, now we have Frank thinking, I got to get out of this prison. So now here's the escape number 2 under Drumgool that's going to happen. Did anyone think that Dallas was going to betray? Did anyone see that coming? No, that was a good.
They didn't. Well, it was good and it was bad because they don't telegraph it at all, and a lot of times some viewers get annoyed by not being able to figure something out.
Really, I was taking that. Doug, did you remember that the betrayal was coming?
No, that was new to me. That surprised.
So there you go.
Yeah, yesterday it surprised me.
So there.
But my point is, Ryan. Like, let's say we've all seen The Sixth Sense, right?
Right.
So when they do the big reveal at the end of The Sixth Sense, you think back on the movie and you say, okay, they here's all the clues that I missed.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't in on it. That's why he wasn't in on this betrayal until like probably the day before. He was always on his, so it was a true like Judas kiss, because it was the night of he got the 40 silver. He was just made this deal, but because the warden just lost his biggest guy, his yard boss.
So what happened? So Frank determines he needs to break out. He's going to ask Tom Sizemore for help. At that point, does Tom Sizemore go to the warden and offer that information up?
No, I think he was approached. He was approached because he said the warden offered me leniency on my sentence.
So when would the warden have offered that, though? It had to be a long-standing deal.
Well, the rape threat to his girlfriend was planned by the warden, unauthorized by the warden, and the warden knew. Look, he's going to want to
break out.
He's going to want to escape like he's done before. I will get somebody I can buy off from his gang that he'll trust, and that's probably how he saw it. Like, hey, Frank's going to come to you asking you for help to break out. When he does, lead him to this area, and I'll get time off your sentence. Because there's that. Remember the sequence where he says to Frank there when he's been caught, and Tom Sizemore does a great job here, where he says that 30 years. When he talks about how he has, I love how he says that 30 years sequence, and but you can see the pain on his face, where both the pain that he betrayed his friend, but also like he's got 30 years in this joint. Like, what would you do? And even Frank's kind of like, what? No, this is prison life. Like, yeah.
He at first he wasn't as apologetic as I think he should have been, because he was like, you told me from day one, don't trust anyone, DTA.
Yeah.
So I mean, instead of being like, I'm sorry I had to do this to you, but I got 30.
Yeah, I guess, but he could have been scared. At that moment he still had the power of the warden behind him, hiding behind his deal with the warden. Like, dude, you said don't trust anybody. What else do you want me to do? I've got 30 years left here. But then the turnaround where he gets betrayed by the warden, and oh man, like, and then you feel sorry for the guy again, And,
yep, he lost everything.
I didn't feel sorry for him. I didn't, man. I'm sorry. He did him so dirty, but I did love Drumgool there, where he's like, how can I explain this? Like, there's no way you can get any kind of deal here. Like, so
then we got then eventually shortly thereafter, Dallas, played by Tom Sizemore, he electrocutes himself to kill the prison guard. And so we kind of get like, and that's the only way you can do that, because we know that Frank in the movie can't kill anybody, or else he's not getting out of jail. So we kind of have like, we as an audience get the satisfaction of that manly guy finally getting his comeuppance with a proper death.
Yeah, this is another one of those movies that a lot of movies sort of suffers from. It's like the race to the end. It almost feels like they compressed the last 25 minutes of this movie into 10 minutes because they built so much time up front.
Right.
Creating, introducing the characters and creating the world and sort of doing all of the storytelling that we needed to be done. But you also didn't want to make this over 2 hours.
No, and I actually thought that too. I hadn't seen this movie, like I said, in 10, maybe 15 years. And as I was watching it, even though it had that hour and 45-minute runtime, I was like, holy, they're getting to sequences quicker than I remember. They got to plot points faster than I thought they were going to get there. So yeah, almost the whole movie seemed not rushed, but they kind of. So I guess you're not bored because they hit a lot of points very quickly. There's not really any lull moments. So
there aren't any bathroom break moments in this movie.
And I didn't think they spent too much time on one scene. I think everything flowed nicely, I thought.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. But at the end, it gets a little bit, action packed. But, he's climbing pipes and climbing the wall and, he's jumping and, the spotlight just misses him. So it gets a little bit, a little bit actiony at the end there. And did anyone catch when he enters the room, the drum goes in, did anyone catch the nod to First Blood? What was the sheriff's name again? I keep forgetting. Teasel. So remember when he caught Teasel in the forest, and he puts a knife to his throat?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I'll give you a nightmare that you'll never forget. And then he does the same thing. He puts a knife to the warden's throat here as well, and basically says, "You're the one that drew first blood on me, buddy. Like, I didn't want this fight, and now here we are." I thought it was very similar nod there, the knife to the throat with the guy who's in authority that should be a good guy that's not a good guy causing the issue here.
You think that's an intentional nod?
Maybe not, but it's the first thing that came to my mind. Is like, I don't know why I never noticed that before, even as a young viewer, that right away I saw the knife to the throat with the authority figure that's that's pushing this character to do things that he doesn't want to do. So I caught it. Maybe nobody else did, but maybe it wasn't intentional. I don't know. So we got the electric chair scene, and we knew this was going to come into play when this was introduced at the beginning of the film. This chair is going to somehow come into play. And again, this was done really well because we don't know what's going to happen. We feel like, we extort this confession from the warden. And I remember even watching it, we're like, even if he says something, how does that matter? But, we have the witnesses lined up as they said.
Mm-hmm.
Drumgoole admits that, yes, I was, this whole setup. But I love how Frank has his hand wrapped around the lever.
Yeah.
So even if the cops chase him or shoot him, he just falls down.
Mm-hmm.
That lever is going to go off and kill the warden. So that's actually I thought that was a really well done. And it seems silly, but it's just the idea to remember to write this, in a movie. Like, hey, even if the cops come and shoot me, I'm gonna fall down with this lever in my hand. So the cops can't approach him or shoot him. It's a good little standoff.
Yeah. They when they first met in the electric chair room, Drumgoole says, the warden would come down.
Stop it. Sorry, guys.
He says the warden would come down a path right from his office through that door. Right. So that was obviously the door that Frank brought him.
Right.
So they wouldn't be found. If he trucks them through the prison, obviously people are going to see him. But if he takes them in that secret passage, he can strap him to the electric chair and nobody will know.
Right.
That was a good little detail.
Doug, again, I'm going to ask you. This is kind of like your first time viewer. Do you remember what happened? Do you remember what was going to happen?
No, I didn't remember any of this.
Okay.
It's crazy the stuff that I remembered from seeing it all those years ago. But this was another one. I was like on the edge of my seat. Is he going to do it? Is he going to electrocute him?
That's great.
Yeah.
So it drew you in. Like you weren't. You didn't think it was silly.
No, I loved it. I love this scene.
Yeah,
it drew me in totally.
What about you, Craig? How do you like this final sequence?
Oh, it's great. I mean, the only thing that you're left wondering is what kind of defense Drumgoole created in court.
Right.
Was his confession coerced? What I almost wonder what Drumgoole's ultimate punishment was. Was he fired? Did he end up doing jail time?
Well, I think with Captain Meisner's, he's probably a pretty stalwart prison captain, and I would suspect that there's enough witnesses of all this, because they even use prisoners as witness. They would have prisoners lined up saying this guy was we're prisoners, but this guy was breaking the law on us as prisoners all the time.
Yeah, where's the Law and Order episode with Drumgoole?
What's that?
So where's the Law and Order episode with Drumgoole?
Right.
Dung dung.
But the whole sequence, the performance, the way it's filmed and edited, the music, it's just a great sequence that leads to, ultimately that reveal that, he's got the main component for that to make that electric chair work.
And then we segue to the final moment where Frank Leone's out of jail and the whole prison guard's there to cheer him on. Hey, welcome, or bye-bye, good luck. And I thought it was interesting because we know it's the character that's being cheered on as he leaves jail. But I think there's two things that makes it kind of so realistic because they all know this is the prisoner that got rid of the warden.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was the idea. Was the warden was a jerk to the whole prison. It wasn't just Frank. He was not a good warden to be around, and so they're cheering kind of a hero of the prison, I would say. And also, though, it was kind of life and art at the same time because it was also the actors who got to be on this film. Probably it was like a last day of shooting. They were kind of cheering Stallone.
Yeah.
Because if you watch the faces of these extras, they're all extras. You can tell, but you tell that these are real prisoners, and they're kind of cheering, being on the film and cheering Stallone as he leaves the prison. This was probably the last day of shooting.
Yeah, it had that feel. It definitely had like a send-off kind of feel. Yeah. I know it's supposed to feel that way for the movie, but yeah, I believe it, man. That's all the real prisoners gathered around.
And that great moment there where Frank goes, what I'm going to miss about you the most there, Captain Meisner? He's like, what? Your beautiful smile. And even Meisner smiles. It's classic 80s, late 80s trope, but it was good. He smiles. Yeah, it was good. Did you catch what Meisner said at the end there, what the last two words of the movie are? Lock Up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the last two.
Down.
Yeah.
Good.
I never caught it to this feeling, but when Miser yells, he yells, "Lock up."
Look, Craig's trying to talk, but he's on mute.
Yeah.
No, I said, Doug, we got to remember these questions that Ryan asks every episode. I got to start taking a notepad and pencil.
I know. He tries stumping us. I don't think it's fair.
No, I'm not trying to stump you. I'm actually just, I thought you guys were going to catch that too. It's like, I'm going to write this down. I even wrote in big letters here. See? Right here. Lock Up. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
I usually do notice when they say, like, they say the name of the movie in the movie, because it's like, oh, they did that thing, because it's a thing.
Yeah, wasn't there a game? Did you guys talk about it where you watch a movie and you stop watching the movie when they say the name of the movie? This movie you could do the whole way through.
Yeah, or you just set an over/under. Yeah.
Yeah, the over/under. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So did you catch the ending here? The credits. We had a film montage again of the film that we just saw. A picture montage.
Yeah.
Is that a Stallone thing? Is that him?
Which Rocky 3? Which Rocky was that in?
All of them. What do you mean? Which one?
They don't do a full montage in all of them.
Rocky 5 does it. Rocky 4 does it.
Maybe it's Rocky. Oh yeah.
It's like instant nostalgia.
So Rocky 4 does it for sure, because Ruben and I just finished covering Rocky 4 on our show, and they did the black and white photo montage right at the end of the film there.
Yeah.
And then Rocky 5 does the whole series montage, because at that time they thought this was the final film. Over The Measure of Man by Elton John. And then this one we've got Survivor, and the singer of this Survivor, by the way, is different than the Eye of the Tiger Survivor singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I believe that singer died within the last year or two as well.
Yeah, he's a terrible survivor.
Oh my God.
Let me yeah.
He's crying
cold-blooded.
I was waiting for someone to bring that up so I could tell that joke.
Oh, by the way, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Friends debuted in 1994.
Okay.
King of Queens debuted in 1998.
Well, poo on you. All right. Fair enough. I can't believe 1994. Eh? Wow. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Well, King of Queens is actually still funnier than Friends. I'm sorry. And I like Friends.
Jimmy Jameson from Survivor died in 2014.
So they're both dead? Which is the Eye Tiger singer? Oh, no. The second singer passed away.
The singer from this movie.
Yeah. He was on 3 or 4 albums with Survivor. Yeah.
You change a singer, it really changes the whole shape of the band.
Well, he did. Yeah, and that's the thing. So, Jim Jameson, is that his name?
Jimmy Jameson, yeah.
So he did the Burning Heart song. And you could tell it's a different singer. He did Burning Heart, but the other singer did Eye of the Tiger. So same band, different singer. It's kind of weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we haven't really done this, but I will say that the Cinema Score, the dudes that so Cinema Score, I wrote this down. Okay, wait 1 sec, guys. Bear with me. So I want to read this. We talked about this before. So Rotten Tomato, of course, gave this 17%, which is stupid. But Cinema Score is the industry leader in measuring movie appeal among theater audiences. And since '78, Cinema Score has been polling moviegoers at major movie releases on opening night to collect demographic information and calculate a distinctive Cinema Score grade. And do you want to know what so audiences rated this movie? Guess out of a letter grade. Guess opening night.
B-.
D.
What's yours? B+.
B-.
I say D.
B+.
The audiences?
Yes.
So it was only the critics that hated this.
That's right. And that's what I don't understand is like it's a good Stallone film. Like so people that went to this movie opening night, like people like me at the age of 14, 15, 20, whatever they were, they had the Cinema Score people say, hey, what'd you think of the movie? I can only imagine they would have come and say, hey, that was a lot of fun. That was a good movie. Because it's not silly in any way. But some critics were saying that the movie was like laughable. Where? Stopper My Mumble Shoot? Yes. Assassins? Yes.
There was nothing laughable about Stopper My Mumble Shoot.
And it was intended.
Yeah, it was. But you get what I'm saying, though? I don't know why Sly is so ragged on. It's weird.
One of the great mysteries.
I just think people love to hate Stallone, and I don't understand why.
It is kind of weird.
Did you read anything, Ryan, about there not having a finished script for this?
Oh, go ahead and talk about that. Yes,
Was there a writer's strike or something?
No, but
all
they
had was a movie idea.
Yeah, they had the star, the director, and the theme, but no script.
Oh, wasn't Stallone up against a window or something? Didn't he have to go film another movie? So they only had him for a certain amount of time?
Well, I know Tango and Cash came out the same year.
Yeah, which also got a Razzie for worst picture.
I mean, that would be the only reason you'd start filming a movie without a finished script, is if you had a window you had to work within.
Well, I want to read a little blurb from an interview from the director, John Flynn. So John Flynn, the director, was going around scouting prisons. We finally had one in Rahway, New Jersey. Jeb and Henry, who Jeb was the writer.
Mm-hmm.
Henry, were they co-writers? Yeah.
Yeah, there was 3 writers on the film.
Jeb and Henry were writing the script as we were making the movie. New pages would come in every day. There was one day when I was on the 3rd tier of a cell block in Rahway Penitentiary and I had nothing to shoot. I had my movie star, all these extras in a great location, and the pages were on their way. So we sat around and bullshitted with the prisoners.
That's crazy.
While they were waiting for the script to get there.
So I give credit here where credit's due, that it's usually a bad sign when this is the movie making process, because you hear about this all the time. This is not uncommon in the movie world, where they're literally getting screenplay scripts like the day of shooting. So the fact that they pulled out a non-clunky, well-directed movie we should give credit to John Flynn, who directed and orchestrated this film to make it fluid. I think it was edited well. The scenes were well filmed and well lit. I really love this film. In fact, hot take. I can't remember. I did this podcast with the podcast that's defunct now, but it was like the top 6 podcast. And I believe I picked Lockup as my favorite film of Stallone's career. That's a non-Rocky Rambo film. And if it wasn't Lockup, it was Cliffhanger. It was one of the 2, but this is in the top 2. It's hard to find a Stallone vehicle that kind of does what this movie does. It hits all the right beats. It's got the right amount of action, right amount of drama. It's got a good bad guy. It's got twists. You don't know where things are coming. It's got emotion. Like, I've never cried in my life, and I never will again, but I've done it in this movie during the car breakup scene. I get choked up. Like, that's good direction, where a car is being broken up because you recognize what's been put into this vehicle and to see it destroyed on screen. It's heartbreaking. And yeah, I don't know. I love this film. I give it an A. I give it an absolute an A. And I think B+ is more than fair. So I give it an A. It's a movie that I could watch anytime. I would have no problem watching this film.
And this is another one of those movies where, and it feels like I talk about this all the time though, but it could have been a fork in Stallone's acting road, and it could have been a performance that allowed him to pivot. And for whatever reason, he went in a different direction. But this is another one of those movies that you'd stack up there with the Stallone acting movies. You can rank it up there with Copland. You can rank it up there with Fist. You can rank it up there with, Spy Kids 3D Game Over.
Stop it.
No, but I mean, it's like one of those movies where it's like, a non-Stallone fan should be that. This is one of those movies you'd hand to a non-Stallone fan and say, "Here, this is what he can do."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
And if they're an objective viewer, you can't deny it.
That's gonna be our constant griping about Sly is, why don't you do more of this? Anyways.
Well, I mean, it's not his typical shoot 'em up. Like, he plays a cop going after a bad guy where there's a ton of collateral damage and car chases and stuff. This is just a good dramatic movie. This isn't an action film.
No, not at all. And not until he shimmies down those pipes.
Yeah.
The shimmy slide.
A couple of times he does some good hardcore flexing. But that's it. It's not gratuitous in any way.
No.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I really did like this film. And I can't believe that the critics killed it the way they did.
17% fresh. Like, come on, settle down.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good film. I don't know. Anyways, we don't care about critics. Just us.
Yeah,
all right. Well, why don't we close up as we always do? Craig, why don't you go first?
Yeah. whenever I get off my butt and decide to finish editing, there'll be new episodes of the SlyCast, including a 2-part, 4+ hour Creed 2 discussion that includes myself, Doug, Ryan, Mike Kunda, Sean from the I Must Break This podcast. So fingers crossed it's coming out this weekend.
Nice.
And I know it was just an amazing discussion with everybody. It was like, and the cool thing about our discussion, Ryan, is you already listened to my discussion with Sean on I Must Break This podcast. So you were able to directly speak to me about things from that discussion. So it's going to make for a really good 2-part listening experience. And I'm really excited to share it because it's a super episode. There's some real podcast heavy hitters and there's some really great discussions, and every discussion I loved, and they're all deep meaty discussions. I think me and you, Ryan, we're like, oh, we'll just do a quick 10-minute sort of whatever, and then we ended up going 40 minutes or something. Me and Doug went 40 minutes. I went 40 minutes with Kunda. So nice. It's going to be fun. So, and we also have Judge Dredd that's sitting on the shelf waiting to be released after the Creed Super Special. So the goal this year is to release more SlyCast episodes and get closer and closer to that straight to video hell.
That we all can't wait to hear.
Oh, I know. But yeah, you can find us at the regular places, the SlyCast on Facebook or on Twitter. My Twitter handle, Mr. Craig Cohen. But if you're watching this, you probably know all the places to find me or to avoid me.
Go ahead, Doug.
One and a half of the Rocky Minute podcast. We analyze the Rocky movies 1 minute of movie time at a time. And we're currently in the middle of Rocky 2, where we've had Craig guest on, and we're about to have Ryan record with us next week, I believe, right?
Yeah, January 11th.
So, so look out for those episodes. The places you can find us are, on your social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. But we have a Facebook listeners group. It's a closed group. So that's where like most of the discussion happens. It's called Mighty Mix on Facebook. So come join the listeners group. And that's, we talk all things Rocky, not just about the podcast, just Rocky in general, Creed, a lot of stuff, a lot of discussions going on there. So yeah, come join the fun.
Hey Doug, are you guys going to analyze the Lipton iced tea commercial when you get to it?
I want to do like his little one-offs, like his SNL appearance. I want to do his Muppet Show appearance, and I would love to do like analyze the Lipton iced tea commercial.
No, you know what? You can analyze the Lipton iced tea commercial 1 second at a time.
Yeah.
I might not listen to that one. I have my limits.
Yeah, that's so do I. That was the old claymation days, man. I miss those days.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm Brian. My brother and I, Ruben, we host the Rocky Series podcast, Going the Distance. Punch that into Facebook, Google, Twitter. It will come up. And we're somewhat weekly. We're pretty much weekly podcast. And we're on Rocky. We just finished Rocky 4. In a couple of weeks, we'll be starting Rocky 5. That's our season 5. And I'm really looking forward to that. And so these guys, I want to say that Craig and Doug, their podcasts are amazing. So if you're not listening to them, you got to be listening to them. Don't worry about me. Listen to them. But if you like them, you like me. If you like me, you like them. I can't imagine you'll listen to any of this and not like what these guys have to offer. These guys are awesome. I listen to them. I'm a legit fan. So, So we really appreciate everyone listening today.
Yeah. And you can do some supplemental listening after, since they just finished Rocky 4. You can listen to the SlyCast Rocky 4 episode. And when you guys are done with Rocky 5, we did a whole episode on the work print of Rocky 5. I don't know if you guys are going to cover that or not.
Yeah, you guys covered it, and I know I'm torn. I think we're going to deal with the theatrical release. I think what we might do, and this is actually something I thought about, is like having somebody like you. So there you go. I'll say this on the air. Come on and talk about that supplemental, and I'll probably have Matt come on too. I don't know it very well, so that would be something I would like to address, but I'm not going to do it like for the whole season, but for an episode, say what are the differences? Is it better or is it not better? And that is a discussion worth having. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys have another great podcast out there too.
Oh yeah, let me just plug that one, man. I'm in the mood of a plug-in. Um,
Well, Doug did it so well, man. It's got me thinking that we both need to pick up our plug-in game, man.
yeah, I know. So yeah, I have another podcast to do with my brother, and he and I are on this one. Like he's always on this one with me, or vice versa, because sometimes with the Rocky podcast we can't correlate our times. But it's called the Worst of the Best Podcast, and it's a lot of fun. It's easy to digest. It's like 20, 25 minutes an episode, and we basically cover a variety of topics from movies, film, food, and we pick what is the worst from a best. So, for example, if you're a band like, let's say, Tom Petty or REM, and we go through what is the best they have, and we pick what is the worst of that. So everything has a worst, even the best. That's the premise of our show. I don't know. Have you guys ever listened to it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You don't have to. I just wanted to be around.
No, it's different. It's different. There's a ton of podcasts out there, so you like to find some variety.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And till next time in our next poll, I'd be interested to see what we reviewed. This was not a dumpster fire, so this was a good one to review.
All right.